Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and I want to make sure that you tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have my special guest on to talk about real issues that matter most. I want you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Business Facebook page, also on the Be Awesome Network. Stay tuned. I think you're going to really like this next guest. Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I am your host, Coach Rice, and with me today, I have Jessica Setnick. She is an eating disorder specialist and dietitian. So let's do a deep dive into her topic, which is going to be healing the inner eater. This is going to be a good conversation. So Jessica, tell the audience where you're from, and then what's the story behind you becoming a specialist in this particular area?
Sure. So I'm coming to you live from Dallas, and I have kind of an unusual origin story, I think, for a dietitian. And I don't even work as a dietitian anymore. It's all part of who I became. I started out with no direction. I started out taking a lot of classes in anthropology because I didn't even know what it was, but I knew it was so interesting. It's just the development of humans. If people are interesting to you, then you'll like anthropology because it's just all about people and how we develop. And then I took nutrition as an elective, and I suddenly realized how much I love thinking about what happens when food goes inside your body and how it's all happening without your conscious control. It's just amazing what your body can accomplish. And then put that together with why we choose the foods we choose, how we feel when we eat, before we eat, after we eat, the changes we decide to make, why sometimes people decide to make changes and then they don't stick. All of that psychology of eating, I found that really fascinating. And then when I went to school to become a dietitian, what I found was that the only area of nutrition where it was really something that people talked about, the psychology of eating, was in the eating disorder field. Even though I think everyone who eats should think and talk about the psychology of eating and the intergenerational aspects of eating and the cultural aspects of eating. This is back in 1994, really the only area that anyone was talking about. It was in the eating disorder field. So that's naturally what I gravitated to, because I just thought, how can you just talk about the molecules in food and not be talking about the choices people make, how they feel, the emotions surrounding food, the way you're brought up with food? And so it's interesting because that idea that everyone who eats should be thinking about this or learning about it is what brought me to where I am now, where I don't see patients individually, because what I realized is the same tools that we teach individuals with eating disorders, anyone who eats needs this information. So my mission now is to bring that same information that helps people heal their eating to people who would never think of themselves as having an eating disorder.
That is so true. So what do you define, and to help our audience understand,
Yeah,
how do you define what is an eating disorder? Because I think of like bulimia and
sure, sure. And
anorexia.
I mean, you could not have asked me a better question, because this is my mission, is to take that idea of what people have in our minds of what an eating disorder is and wipe that away, because everyone has a picture in your mind of what eating disorder means. It's either like, a person that looks like this or a person that does this behavior. And the truth is, anyone you're looking at any time can have an eating disorder. It's an invisible condition. And so I actually prefer to use the term problem eating behavior or dysfunctional eating behavior or disruptive eating behavior, because if you say eating disorders, people have this mental picture, and suddenly it's this very rare thing that only a few people experience. And so with my mission of saying anyone who eats can have eating problems, eating dilemmas, eating choices, things that don't go right with their eating regrets, that's why I use problem eating behaviors or dysfunctional eating behaviors, because suddenly that expands to everyone. Everyone who eats can sometimes do things with food that surprise them, or do things with food that they regret, or do things with food that are choices that they can't believe they even made. And that to me is the key, is to open this information, open these tools for healing to everybody, rather than just people with eating disorders diagnosed.
So basically, I would struggle with an eating disorder if I eat because I'm emotionally unstable at that time.
So I wouldn't necessarily say eating disorder only because eating disorders have specific definitions. They have
Right.
diagnostic criteria, right?
Right.
So I feel like the diagnostic criteria don't really make sense because, for example, the diagnostic criteria all are based on a behavior. So they divide people based on
Right.
behavior. Do you not eat enough to sustain life? Then you have this eating disorder. Do you use compensatory behaviors because you regret what you ate? Then you have this eating disorder. Do you overeat repeatedly? Then you have this eating disorder. But guess what? The same person can undereat, overeat, and use compensatory behaviors in the same day. So, how can you divide people based on
Got
their
it.
behaviors? That to me is where only one of many reasons where I feel like the definition of eating disorders kind of goes wrong. And so we
Okay.
need to expand it into it's not just the behavior you do, it's how you feel about it. Because one person might be eating, let's say, carrot sticks, and they think this is really yummy. I love carrot sticks. I kind of forgot about carrot sticks. Carrot sticks are great. And someone else is eating carrot sticks because they're scared to eat anything that has any fat in it or something like that
Right.
or any protein in it. And so they only eat carrot sticks. It's the same behavior. You can't determine if someone is well or unwell based on their behavior if you don't understand the motive behind it, if you don't know anything about their history. And that to me is what the eating disorder diagnoses try to do is take a snapshot of your life and put you in a box when nobody really lives that way.
So that's the reason why you say healing your inner eater versus
Yes.
eating disorder.
Yes.
So
So
let's talk
healing your
about
inner eater. Yeah. That's the name of my
this.
workshop and my workbook
Okay.
because I didn't want the workbook to have the words eating disorders in the title because that, if you're not looking for a book on eating disorders, it's not for you. But healing your inner
Exactly.
eater kind of sounds like healing your inner child. And so it's really about looking back at the intergenerational history of whoever raised you. What did they go through? What was their approach to eating and food and bodies and weight and size? And how is that impacting you now? Because we like to think that we are just very much consciously in control of all of our behaviors, eating
Hmm.
plus other things, when really a lot of it was set in motion either by systems, by institutions, by our generations of ancestors. There's so many things that impact us that we don't even realize. And the only way to change them is to bring them into your consciousness, become aware of them, and then choose if that's how you want to continue or not.
So how do childhood experiences with food shape the way you eat, cope, and
Oh
even
my
judge
gosh.
yourself?
I mean, think about any negative childhood experience you had with food and how that is impacting you today, right? I remember I
Mhm.
threw up Life cereal once when I was a kid. I don't even want to see that Life logo in my pantry. My husband
Well, that was my
occasionally buys
favorite
Life cereal.
cereal.
I'm sorry. And that's okay because I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Life cereal,
It's the
but
carrot
my experience, see, that's
illustration,
the
right?
you just gave me the perfect example, right? You love it. I don't want to eat it. I don't even want to see it. It's because of my childhood experience with it, right? So it can be for
Mhm.
a specific food, it can be for food in general, but people tend to want to say, oh, that happened so long ago. That's not affecting me anymore. And my response is it's exactly the opposite. The younger you were when it happened, the longer ago it happened, means the younger you were, means the fewer coping skills you had to deal with it, means the more simple your narrative was around it. Like, I threw up, so therefore life cereal is bad, which as adults we know is not true. But you had this
Right.
very simple explanation. And P.S., it means the longer you have been living with that explanation, and the more other factors have kind of attached onto it. So that the longer ago it happened to me, the more important it is, rather than that happened so long ago, it's not affecting me anymore. I think it's the opposite.
So now that you mention that, it makes sense because I remember, and tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm looking at it wrong, but I remember as a child when when it was time to eat, and we didn't want to eat all of our food. It was
Oh, I
like you
already
had to
know where
sit.
this is going. There are
I was
children starving
tortured
in China
sitting
or
there to
Ethiopia
eat
or
all the food on our plate to the point we had to sneak and throw it away if we could. But now, and then as I got older, that habit of gotta eat all my food started to become a habit. Like, I'm full, but I have to eat all my food. So I hate to waste. And I had to retrain my brain to say, box up half when I go out.
I mean,
Because if you don't
yes.
box up half, I'm gonna eat all of
That
it.
is exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
There is no one alive today that wasn't raised by a parent, a grandparent, a caregiver, a foster parent, adoptive parent. There's no one who wasn't raised by someone, a grandparent who didn't go through the Great Depression, a war situation, a refugee situation, incarceration, food insecurity. These are all things that make you feel like I have to eat what's in front of me because I don't know where my next food is coming from, or I don't have control over the next time I eat. So if you think we were all raised by people who were in that situation at some point,
Mhm.
they were just trying to raise us with love and teach us, be careful, eat everything you have now because who knows what's going to happen later. But it didn't come across as loving. It came
No,
across as scolding.
it was
And it
torture.
put us in the position of having this very ingrained lifelong habit of not listening to our internal cues about what to eat, but eating what someone else put on the plate. Because here's the thing, most of the time when they said eat everything on your plate, we weren't even old enough to have put it on our own plates in the first place. And so it was someone else deciding how much we should eat, someone else telling us we were wrong if we didn't eat it. And so, of course, we learned to follow other people's advice. It might be your parent at a younger age, and now it might be a chef in a restaurant deciding how much to put on your plate. But we've lost touch with our own internal cues of how much to eat that we were born with.
That is so true. So how can someone understand the difference between physical hunger and eating that's tied to emotional comfort and stress and all of that?
So there's a really simple tool that everyone can use. It's really easy to misinterpret, so I'm going to tell you how not to use it. But it is called the apple test, and it is so basic.
Mm.
You literally think to yourself when you're hungry, would I eat an apple right now? And we can all do it right now. Like, let's pause for a minute. Would I eat an apple right now? I mean, I don't want an apple right now, but I could see in like 20 minutes I would eat an apple. So it's giving me information like I think I'm starting to get hungry. Now, if you love apples and you would always eat an apple, this isn't the right choice. If you hate apples and would never eat apples, this isn't the right choice. You may have to pick something that's more bland for you, like saltine crackers or carrot sticks, right? But the idea is something that you would eat it, but you wouldn't eat it if you weren't hungry. And so you just ask yourself that question. So what's your answer to that question? Would you eat an apple right now if someone just brought you an apple?
No,
No. Okay. So it
not right now.
doesn't mean you can't eat, but it tells you if you're hungry right now, if you want something to eat and you wouldn't eat that kind of boring food, maybe it's emotional.
Baby,
Is
I'm
there
really not
something else
hungry.
going on? Yes. Is
Ah,
it nerves because you're going on a podcast? Is it and ideally we would be able to sift it apart and figure out exactly what feelings are making us hungry because a lot of feelings feel empty besides hunger. Boredom can feel empty, loneliness can feel empty, right? Even jealousy can feel empty like I don't have enough, right? There's lots of reasons why we can be craving
yeah,
food,
when I'm bored, I will eat.
right? But even if you don't know what the reason is, you can still kind of sift it out into am I hungry for an apple or not? P.S. If the answer is yes, I would eat an apple, you don't have to go find an apple. That's not the point of the exercise. Remember, I
Right.
said it could be
The point is
misunderstood?
the
Right.
apple is perfect for me because I'm just not gonna grab an
Right.
apple.
Right. So you would eat it if you were hungry, but you're not going to go like run across the street because you're so excited they have apples over there, right? It's just a
No,
food
no.
that you would eat for nourishment, right? You don't use ice cream as a test because I would eat ice
Oh
cream
no, because I would go for
anytime
that.
you put it in front of me, right? So you're trying to use something that's kind of bland to you. So if you would eat it, that gives you good information that you're probably hungry. You may even be overly hungry. If you wouldn't eat it, is probably a sign that something else is going on. And so
Mm.
it's not foolproof, but it is a place to start.
Wow. So for people who carry like shame around food, because some people, sometimes people,
Yes.
where does the shame usually begin and how do they start breaking the power of that?
Okay, that is two really big questions. Where does
Okay.
shame usually begin? Is, I mean, minute one when we are born, right? Because, we get these messages, whether they're verbal or not verbal. We pick up on things as infants even before we understand what we're picking up on. But think about when people say, "Oh, you really ate a lot," or "Oh gosh,
Yeah,
you didn't
that
really
one.
eat very much." We start saying that when kids are bottle feeding. Like we start immediately judging, right? Instead of
Yeah.
saying to a kid, like I like to say when I'm feeding a baby and they spit out the bottle or they spit out the spoon and they're done, I say, "Thank you for communicating." Instead of
Okay.
me putting on that kid, "Wow, you didn't eat very much, you ate a lot," just neutral. "Thank you for telling me that you're done. I appreciate you telling me you're done. You're really good at this," right? That's how shame starts, is by someone putting
Wow, you
their
never think
judgment.
about that.
Mhm. Now, P.S., shame is a killer. And so
Yes.
your question is, how do we take it away? And that is with one simple word, and the word is regret. So when you're feeling ashamed of something, shame makes you want to be silent. It makes you not want to
Yes.
tell anyone. It makes you embarrassed. It makes you not want to admit it. And so you can't get help and you can't do it differently. You just want to forget about it.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that gallon of ice cream I ate single-handedly last night. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to not buy ice cream anymore. That's the way our minds work.
That is, you're right. That is the way it works. That's why I say anything hidden can't be
Yes.
healed because you
Yes.
have to talk about it, right?
Oh my gosh, we're so on the same page. Yes. So if instead of feeling I'm such a failure, I have no willpower, I can't believe I did that again after I promised I wasn't going to, instead just use the simple word, "I regret," and I'll use that same example. "I regret that I ate a whole half gallon of ice cream last night." That's it. That's this the whole change is "I regret." And here's why. Because regret, first of all, you accept it, but without condoning it. When we say, as therapists, mental health professionals, when we tell people you need to accept something, people hear it's going to stay the same. We know we don't mean that, but
No,
people don't
not at
want
all.
to accept because they believe that means they're going to stay the same.
Yeah,
Regret
because
means,
accept is awareness.
yes, but regret means I am aware that it happened. I'm not condoning it and I don't want to do it again, but I can be aware that it happened, whether that's with sadness, but with regret. And so what regret does is it opens the door to be able to talk about it. I could say, "Martha, I have this dilemma. I ate half a gallon of ice cream single-handedly last night. What do you think that was about?" And we can talk about it. If I am so ashamed, Martha can't know. I'm a dietitian and I ate half a gallon. This is starting to feel real to me. I didn't even eat a half a gallon of ice cream, but I'm like living this experience. But like, right? Like if I'm ashamed, I can't say, "Martha, can you help me figure this out?" Like I'm a smart person. And I did this
Right.
thing that feels really stupid. If I regret it, I can bring it to you. We can talk about it. We can talk it through, or I can write about it in my journal. I can start pondering it. And you know what else I can do? I can plan differently. If I'm ashamed and I can't admit it happened, then I cannot change it. But if I can say, "I really regret it," even if I don't talk to anybody else, I can think, "I regret that that happened. How could I do it differently next time?" And instead of
Mm.
the problem being me, I can think of a system. Maybe what
You're
I'll do,
externalizing it.
yes, next time I'll just buy a pint of ice cream when I want ice cream. And then it's impossible to eat a half gallon if all you have is a pint. Or
Right.
next time I want ice cream, I'm going to go to Brahms and I'm going to get one cone with one scoop
I'm
because
gonna get
then
the
I leave.
child scoop.
Or two scoops or whatever it is.
Right.
It helps you feel like I got the ice cream, but I'm not setting myself up in a situation where my skills are overpowered by a half gallon of ice
And
cream
that's
that calls
building a
my name in the
system.
freezer. Yes. If I just say I am a failure, I can never eat ice cream again, that is not a solution.
That's not a system either. That's setting you up for failure.
Yes. So regret is the tool. Regret, just use the word regret. The next time you feel like I can't tell someone about this, think, what would it be like if I just told someone I regret? Okay, here's an example that did happen to me. Because I've learned that shame kills. I force myself. When I start to feel shame, I tell someone immediately.
I do the same
I
thing.
pick a safe person. I mean, we're like twins. Okay. So
Yeah.
I pick a safe person, but I'm thinking once in my office, it was like 5 o'clock, and I realized I'm kind of lightheaded. I haven't eaten anything since breakfast. And as a dietitian, that feels very shameful. And so as soon as I hear like shameful, feel shameful in my body, I immediately went to the other dietitian in my office and I said, Laura, I'm not feeling really good about this, but I haven't had anything to eat since breakfast and I'm kind of lightheaded. And she said, okay, well, here's a boost that she keeps it in her fridge for patients. Here's a boost. Drink this, sit for a minute, and then we'll figure out what you're going to do for dinner. Right? If I was ashamed, not only could I not say anything to her, here I am lightheaded with no ideas about what I should be eating. And so not only can I not get help, I can't even think through my own problem. And so being able to say, no, I refuse to keep your secrets, shame, and saying it to someone else, then you're allowing someone in to help you. And the other thing is, they're never going to be as mean to you as you are to yourself. They're
Exactly.
not going to kick you when they're down. Or if they do, you have picked the wrong person and don't share with them again because they have shown you they're not safe. A safe person will not kick you when you're down. A safe person will help you and say, I know you're a smart person. You got into a tricky situation. Let me help you out of it. And then maybe we can plan ahead and figure out how to not make it happen again.
Now that's a mic drop right there. So people, let's talk about labels because people will, I know I've done it, um, call themselves emotional eaters. And
Okay.
but when I don't, I really pushed that to the side because I noticed that it was keeping me in a cycle.
Okay. So here's what I
Because
think. Oh, sorry. I did
no,
not
go
mean to
ahead.
interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I do not believe in labeling other people. But when you say to me, I think I'm an emotional eater, and you are now looking at that with your therapist mindset, and you're saying that wasn't good because I labeled myself and that put me in this pattern kind of. But I'm saying, if you came to me and said, I think I'm an emotional eater, all I would say to you, I wouldn't say that's not a thing or don't label yourself, Martha. I would say, tell me what that means. When you say that, what are you telling me? What do you mean by
Exactly. But the
emotional?
label, what the label did for me was saying, this is, oh, so this is this is why I eat the way I eat. So I'm cool with that. Now I have a label attached. You know what I mean? But actually,
So you found
it
it kind
was,
of freeing.
I found it kind of freeing, but dysfunctional
Right.
at the
But if
same
you
time.
label yourself an emotional eater, now you have no responsibility to change yourself.
Exactly. Because now I have a label.
Yeah.
No, but that was me. It could
Yeah.
be this,
Yeah.
that was
No,
me.
but that's what
But
I'm
I
saying is
realized
I
that,
might walk into the room
yeah,
thinking I know what emotional eating means, but that's not what's important. What's important is how you feel about it, what it means to you. Same thing with food addiction. If someone says to
hmm
me, I'm addicted to food, I know what I think that means, but that's not important. I want to know, what do you mean? Do you mean addicted to
exactly.
a certain food? Do you mean addicted to baked goods? Do you mean addicted to sweets? Do you mean you're stealing money from your grandma's purse so that you can buy food to binge on? Like, help me understand what being addicted to food means to you, and then we can look for ways to solve it or explanations
Yeah.
for it, right?
And the reason why I'm
Yes.
asking you this question because that's what I was saying. I remember being in that, but I realized I do have behaviors where I can eat out of emotion. Now, when people, what do you want people to understand about like emotional eating that's missed or oversimplified?
Oh, well, I might be the person that oversimplifies it. What I would like people to know about emotional eating is this: you have to eat and you have to have emotions. These two things are not choices.
Mm,
Okay, so it's really more about how they coexist. Food is food, it's an inanimate object. You need it to survive. Emotions are a roller coaster, and that's normal. I
okay.
don't can't see myself, so I wonder what Zoom is doing to my hand as I move it. It's probably vanishing. But it's a roller coaster. And
No, I can
even
see your hand.
okay, even the most well-balanced person, well-medicated person still has thousands of feelings a day, or it just all kinds of feelings, and that's normal. If they're scary, if it's a super scary roller coaster, you get professional help. But even the most healthiest person has lots of feelings, and that's normal. The problem is when food gets on the roller coaster, now neither one of these things is working correctly. So you're allowed to have food, you're allowed to have feelings. It's just sometimes maybe they intersect, but if all the time your food is driving your feelings or your feelings are driving your food, that is not a healthy place to be. And so we need to try to get them untangled. And that's what I
So
would
how
say.
would you know when they're driving each other?
Well, okay, this is a little secret I'm going to tell you.
I
How
love
you
the secrets.
feel, how you feel after you eat is how
Mm.
you are feeling before you ate.
Whoa.
So if you are angry after you eat, if you're mad at yourself, you were mad at yourself before you
Be-
ate.
oh my God, who pays attention to that?
Well, I
We
know a
need
lot of
to.
people can
We
tell
need
you I
to,
was
right?
really sad after I ate. I was really frustrated with myself. It is a
Yes.
clue. It is a huge clue to how you're feeling because you know what? Happy, content people do not go eat a half a gallon of ice cream and feel bad about it.
That's interesting that you say that because we do pay attention to what we feel after, but not before. So that's a good
Same
correlation.
feeling. It's the same feeling. Because here's the thing.
And
I
you're
could
right,
I could
because
eat
now
a
that I
pizza,
think about it,
right? I could eat a whole pizza and I or just a piece.
oh
I could
God,
eat a piece, let's not say whole. I could eat a piece of pizza and say, I felt really guilty about eating that. And you could eat a piece of pizza and go, that was delicious. I feel great. So it can't be the pizza causing the problem.
no, you're right. I like that. That right there. That was a good one. That was a good one. I don't even know what to do with this after
So
this.
when
No, I'm
you
just
say
kidding.
I'm disappointed in myself for eating French fries, well, let's talk about how might you be disappointed in yourself in other ways. Tell me what's going on in your life. What are the things that are happening that are making you feel disappointed? And if you say, "Well, I'm disappointed because I couldn't afford a new car that I wanted." I don't know. Okay, that's good information. So I was disappointed I didn't couldn't buy the car I wanted, so I thought I deserve a treat and I went and got French fries. And then I was disappointed that I had French fries. Well, you know what? Your brain is doing you a favor. Not in the end, but in the moment, transferring the idea of I'm disappointed because I don't have enough money to buy this important thing to me into I do have enough money to buy French fries. I deserve a treat. But then you can be disappointed in yourself for eating French fries, which is a fixable problem. I'll fix it. I'll just never eat French fries again. Then I never have to feel disappointed again. When the truth is, their disappointment is a part of life. You're never
Right.
going to completely avoid it just by avoiding French fries. And so that's how you know that things, emotions, and food are mixed up is anytime you're feeling discouraged after you eat something, there was a feeling that came before that that drove you to that food.
That is a great and that's great insight right there because it's I can see that. I can definitely see that happening. And so for someone listening who um feels stuck in guilt, binging, restriction, when they restrict or obsessive with food thoughts or, you know, what would your advice be towards healing in that area? Because that's a lot of like emotions I know going on,
For
but
sure. When as soon as you say obsessive, that of course makes me think about anxiety
Mhm.
because the definition of obsessions is intrusive unwanted thoughts, right? And so if you're having a lot of thoughts, either they're negative about yourself or negative about your eating or negative about your life, we all have some of those, and then we also have good days and we can move on. If you are feeling kind of like weighed down, like you're dragging this anchor around of these negative, obsessive thoughts about you not being good enough and those kind of things, to me, that's more than a food issue. That may be a chemical issue that may benefit from medication or an evaluation for medication. That may be something that talk therapy could help or EMDR. There's a lot of things. So I guess my
Right.
number one thing would be to know that it's not you. Those thoughts aren't real. Your anxiety is lying to you. And it's really important that you get in a situation where someone else can sort of be a separate pair of eyes and
Got it.
help you look
To
at
make
it.
sure that you don't need
Yeah,
help
that
in
you're not getting into a
depression.
really depressed place.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. Because sometimes, but and sometimes when people they can be obsessed with the way they look, like
Yeah.
I'm not body image. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So body image, yes, it's people think that what we see when we look in the mirror is who we are. And the truth is, it's just a two-dimensional representation of you at a certain angle, at a certain lighting, at a certain point in time, right? It's really not who you are at all. And
Right,
social media does not help with this at all. But
right.
our image of ourselves is not just the physical, it's also how we're feeling about ourselves. And our perception lies to us. And excuse me, this is the first thing we do in eating disorders. I'm sorry, scratch that. The first thing we do in healing your inner eater is I always say, close one eye and look at your nose. Do this right now if you're listening. Unless you're driving, don't do this. Close one eye and look at your nose. Close the other eye and look at your nose. Now open your eyes. You cannot see your nose.
Right.
That is the evidence, the best evidence I can give you that your brain is editing out certain things in your life. Your brain is picking and choosing what to notice in an effort to help you. If you were looking at your nose all the time, you probably couldn't walk around. So
Right.
it's not that it's a bad thing, but you have to realize that the things that we focus on and the things that we choose to see and understand, it's all going through our brain. If vision was just eyes, everyone would see the same thing. But vision is not just your eyes. It goes through your brain. It has to be
Yes.
processed through your experiences, through your perception, right? If I saw
Yes.
someone get hit by a bicycle walking past my window, I would be upset. Oh my God, someone just got hit by a bicycle. But if it was my mom, they got hit by a bicycle, this interview is over. Like I am
Right.
gone, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can see the same thing, but how you feel about it can be
Hmm.
very different. And so that's why your spouse, let's say, can look at you and you say, do I look fat in this dress? And they don't even know what you're talking about. You're not fat. How can you look fat? Right? It's like, it's sort of like, but how can I see something that no one else can see? And we call that body image distortion or body
Got it.
dysmorphia if it gets significant. But it's a perception problem versus a body problem. But we are sold so many
You
solutions,
sold on it. Yeah.
so many solutions that in order for us to buy, we have to believe the body is the problem instead of the perception is the problem.
Got it. So what does freedom of food with freedom with food look like
Yeah. So
in a
freedom
person's
with
life?
food is something that I'm imagining someone could interpret as, well, you just eat whatever you want whenever you want. But to me, freedom with food means freedom from food, freedom from thinking about food all the time. It means that food, if you think of your life as a pie, food is a slice of the pie that you don't have to think about or worry about when that's not what you're doing. And so
Okay.
you can see why someone with food insecurity can't just think about food when they're eating, right? It expands to a bigger part of that pie. Or
Yes.
someone who is obsessing over their body size, they can't let that be one part. It grows too much and expands and it crowds out. You only have so much brain power, so much time in your day, so much, free time, especially. And so it crowds out socializing. It crowds out doing fun hobbies and things like that. And that's when
Taking
it
over the
becomes
whole pie.
really unhealthy. Yeah.
I know that because I've been there, done
I've
that.
been there. I've been there. I've been there.
And
I
still struggle with it sometimes.
Yeah, and but that's the thing. You can use it as a clue.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really fixated on this zit on my nose that no one else cares about. What's going on with me?
Right.
Why am I focusing on the zit? Or, I've got some more gray hair. Like, is it a problem? Is it not a problem? I mean, society wants me to think it's a problem, But is it really a problem to have gray hair? It's a sign of aging. Not even everybody gets to age. Only the lucky ones get to age, right? So it's like really investigating these things that feel true and feel real to us and recognizing that they are just perception. And this is one of the reasons I think that reading novels, like historical novels, or going to different countries or learning about other countries really helps, because if you read or listen or learn about a different time frame, a different place in the world, you realize that beauty ideals are totally different. In a few hundred years ago, they used to do all kinds of weird stuff that was considered beautiful, right? And then, in a different country, they might have totally different standards of beauty. Once we realize that standards of beauty are all, or appearance, I guess, maybe not everyone thinks of it as beauty.
Subjective.
Yeah, it's all subjective. And so there is someone out there who wants you to feel bad about yourself, so you will buy their product
Mm.
to feel better about yourself.
Yes. Girl. No, don't give me girl. No. But anyway.
You can call me girl. I'm 53. I'm still a girl in a lot of ways.
And look, that's endearing. So let me ask you a question. What advice would you give the audience? One piece of advice.
I mean, if I had to boil it down to one piece of
I know.
advice,
Yeah, you got to boil it down to one.
I would say stop talking about other people's bodies and what other people are eating. If you have to think judgy thoughts in your head, I'm okay with that. Stop saying it out loud. Stop making it okay to say to other people, wow, she really shouldn't be eating that. Or we shouldn't say it to each other. We shouldn't say it in front of children. We should all just think about it as we do not know what other people are going through. We don't know what choices they're making. We don't know what their situation is. And, we have this saying here in Texas, you just say, God bless, bless. What,
I like that. I like
we
that.
need to stop judging. We need to stop judging ourselves. And the first step in that is to try to stop judging others.
So tell us about your book.
Oh, okay. So I've written several books for professionals, and they have the words eating disorders in them. So like I said, you end up with only people who are really, really interested in eating disorders are going to read them. So then I came up with the workbook, which is Healing Your Inner Eater. That's for everyone. So you can go to healingyourinnereater.com, put in discount code podcast, and that'll bring the price of the workbook down for everybody listening.
Well, Jessica, you have been such an amazing guest.
Thank you.
Enlightening.
I want to keep talking to you. I want to come back like once a month.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Look, come back. I love it. Like, seriously, I love it.
I want to take listener questions. Like, I feel like you are, yes, we totally see eye to eye. I love it.
But then I'll talk to you about that offline. We could definitely do that. And so I want to definitely thank you because you have been amazing. And to my audience, I know she helped you, and I know you got some insight because I'm definitely going to be watching how I feel. When I feel something after I eat, I'm definitely going to examine it. But to the audience, if you know someone who's struggling with their inner self when it comes to eating, you have someone now, Jessica. Reach out to her as a resource. Her book, the link to her book will be in the actual video. Reach out, call her. That's what helps.
Oh, yeah, and I'm on Facebook. You can DM me. Absolutely.
I'm going to put all her links in it.
Great.
And reach out to her because I'm telling you, this can heal your inner eater. And that's important because it spills over into every parts of your life. And so we want you to get the help. And she is an expert in this area, as you can see. And so reach out to her. Great resource. And we just want to thank you so much, Jessica, once again. And
it was a treat. I'm really glad we got to talk.
I am too. And to everyone, have a fantastic Monday.
It's your time to shine.